Good morning, everyone. My name is Alicia Udaskin, and I am the Director of Employer Engagement at JVS, Jewish Vocational Services. And we are located in East Orange, New Jersey and Montclair, New Jersey. So I always start our webinars by talking about JVS. JVS was founded in 1939, and we help people overcome barriers to employment, get back on their feet, and get jobs. Our JobSeekers programs, which this is part of, are fully funded by the Jewish Federation of Greater MetroWest and by Project M, and we thank them both so much for their support. So this morning, we're in for a really big treat. We are welcoming back our guest speaker, Jeff Young. Let me tell you a little bit about Jeff. Jeff is a former director and account manager with Intellinex, an e-learning venture of Ernst Young. He has helped manage and mentor thousands of people in many different organizations. Since his retirement from OCLC, where he worked as an enterprise project manager, Jeff has been volunteering for and helping manage several local nonprofit organizations. Jeff's focus has been devoting his time to being a professional networker, LinkedIn guru, and teaching networking and LinkedIn skills and best practices. So today, Jeff will answer all your LinkedIn questions. I want to thank everybody who sent in their questions ahead of time, and Jeff is going to start by addressing those questions and talking about them. So with that, over to Jeff.
Namaste. Thank you very much, Elisa. It's great to be back. It's so much fun to work with you because you always have a big group of people. Special hello to Ken Lang, one of my good buds from the East Coast. So I noticed that he just showed up. So howdy do. I want to make sure that people understand, again, the way that this works is I want it to be as interactive as possible. So drop a question in the chat. I want to be interrupted because there is no point in me jabbering at you for the next hour and a half. That's just, I'm not going to do it. I'm just plain old not going to do it. I'm going to answer questions, and then we're going to come back and say, are there any other questions, or did that cause you to think of something else that you wanted to know about? So this is your chance to ask any burning question you happen to have about LinkedIn and how to use LinkedIn, because my job is to help you be effective on LinkedIn. And as what Elisa said was, I retired from OCLC, which was, by the way, it actually stands for the Online Computer Library Center. And it actually is headquartered here in Dublin, Ohio, in Columbus, Ohio, and it's been around since the 1960s. But I was a project manager there, so I'm a recovering project manager. But what she didn't say is that I retired 18 years ago. And when I retired, I decided that I wanted to continue to network. And since I wanted to network, I asked my network what the best tool to network with other professionals and continue networking for me was. And every single person I talked to said, oh, you got to be on LinkedIn. Okay. Well, now I already was on LinkedIn, but the problem was I hadn't really used it in about 4 years. So I started, I've been on LinkedIn since May of 2004, but I actually started using LinkedIn in January of 2008. And I also determined one other thing that I thought was important, and that was that if I was going to learn how to use LinkedIn, the best way for me to learn how to use LinkedIn was for me to start teaching it to other people. Does that make sense? Okay. And so that's what I started doing. So I've been teaching LinkedIn. Yes, I am that old. I've been teaching LinkedIn for 18 years now. Okay. So they're going on 18 years, and I'm going to keep doing it till I get it right. Is that the way that, that old joke goes? Okay. And one of the things about LinkedIn is, well, I'll tell you what, in those 18 years, a couple of things that I've discovered about LinkedIn is, first of all, they love to change things. Okay, which means that there's always something new going on. There's always some new improvement. All the things, practically 75% of what you see as far as features and capability out there on LinkedIn right now did not exist 10 years ago. They just weren't there. Okay. And the second thing I've learned about LinkedIn over those 18 years is that LinkedIn loves to hide stuff. Okay. So the hidden features is what I want to try to help you find. Okay. On LinkedIn, and I'll show you where you can get that. And more than anything else, I can spend an hour and a half with you today, but I am out there. I'm not on LinkedIn all the time. Some people might disagree with that. Some people think I'm on LinkedIn all the time, but I'm not on LinkedIn all the time. But my profile is. So if you go look me up and you look at my profile, you can find all kinds of help. Speaking of which, I just dropped a few of my favorite links in the chat. So please be sure to save the chat. As Elisa said that she's going to send that, I think, via email as well. So you get the links. So I want to make sure you got those links, because those links are important about how you find me, how you find out certain things that I want you to know, how I approach LinkedIn, and how we go from there. Okay. So let's start with the first question, which came through beforehand. And that was basically, what are LinkedIn's most underused features right now? And that can help service-based professionals stand out and maybe gain clients. Well, there are underused features, whether or not you're a service-based client or a service-based person or not. Okay. And the underused features are interesting to me, because one of the mistakes that I think even people in the job search, and I'm not sure how many of you are actually in the job search. I'm going to assume that most of you are in the job search process, so the majority of them, because that's what most of these meetings are
I know
for.
that answer. I know that answer.
Thank you.
Majority. Because we
Oh,
asked a survey of why people, why people are, when they register, it's, are you currently searching for a job? Are you underemployed? So are you looking, are you unemployed, underemployed, looking for new skills? And majority are in the first two. Okay. So like 70% are underemployed or
looking.
unemployed. So looking for a job, whether or not you're
Okay.
unemployed. Correct.
Okay. Well, and I want to make the point, and I wanted to ask that question because of the fact that a lot of what I'm going to talk about applies to both those categories of people who are actually out here as entrepreneurs, and then people who are out here looking for a job. That's one of the other changes that has happened to LinkedIn over the last 20 some years, because LinkedIn's been around since May of 2003. Okay. That's one of the changes that happened. When LinkedIn was first introduced, it was nothing more than a recruiting database. Okay. It really was out there for people who were looking for a job. Well, now it's much more than that. It's a branding machine. It's a networking machine. It is a service providing machine, okay, kind of thing. So solopreneurs, entrepreneurs have gotten on board, and they are now using LinkedIn in a great deal more instances than they ever were before. Okay. But the way you use LinkedIn is kind of the same no matter what you do. So what's one of the underused features? Okay. Honestly, one of those underused features is right at the top of everybody's profile. You know what I'm talking about? It's called the background photo. That's the actual, it is called a banner for most of it. It's the background banner. It is the very first thing that people see, okay, when they come to your profile. And if you want to impress somebody, I highly recommend that you get away from having a bad case of what I call the grays. Okay. Because if you've got 3 shades of gray in your background photo, you're not utilizing LinkedIn to the best of its ability. Whether you're looking for a job or whether you're otherwise, it's the place where the very first thing you see can brand you and tell people what it is that you do. Okay. I looked at Elisa's. Elisa has a nice saying on it. At least she's got, some people just have a picture. Like some people have a picture of a skyline. Other people have a picture of a wooded area or a sunset or something like, that's nice. Okay. But unless you're in the tourism business, okay, a place or a sunset isn't really going to tell anybody about who you are and what you have to offer. Okay. So let me share my screen and give you an illustration. And this may be overkill to you. It may be, but honestly, there are very few things that I do on LinkedIn that are over the top, that have not, been beneficial to me, that have not gotten me results. And that's the whole key here. So let me share my screen. I want to show you my background banner. This is my profile. That's my background banner. Notice that it says what I usually say when I'm introducing myself. Hi, that's, by the way, that my brand is and it's not just because of the new recent movie. Okay, okay. My brand is the boy in blue behind me here, because that's where I really want people to understand. And when they think of me, I want them to think of me as, hi, I'm a teacher. What's your superpower? Okay. And literally, I sometimes actually introduce myself by ripping open my shirt and actually showing my red S. Okay. Now, I know that that would scare some of the ladies. I apologize. I didn't really want to make you think I was going to disrobe on LinkedIn, but I'm not. But I want you to understand that that's what branding is all about: standing out, making sure that you stand out, etc. Okay. So I'm also an author, which is why you see a picture of my book up there. Okay. Again, I sent Elisa some stuff that I had done, a special actual LinkedIn Live with one of my good friends about how to use LinkedIn to promote your book. If you've written a book, you are standing out. Believe me, not a lot of people get to write a book. I never thought I would. Okay. But I did. And that was about a year ago now. And that's been on my profile for about a year now.
So Jeff, I'd love to add to that. So I'm so glad you started with this. When I was doing career counseling, like one-on-one with clients, maybe 60% of people had the gray background. Okay, they did not put in that banner. And one of the first things, and I said, is this is your branding, this is your marketing. You're looking for a job, or you're looking to increase clients, or you're looking for whatever. You want this to look professional.
Yep.
So an example is, so the first thing I said is, okay, here's the thing. Do you know that you can change your banner whenever you want? Do you know
Yep.
that there is no risk and you don't need to overthink what you're putting up there? I always tell clients when they start and they're not sure and they're overthinking it, I said, put up anything to start and you can change it tomorrow, because guess what? People are not necessarily coming to your profile 20 times a day, because usually it's about you pushing out. And we're going to talk about the ways that you're pushing out to get people to look at you by commenting, by posting, by doing things like that.
Right.
So
Right.
it's low risk to put something up. What I recommend is do not use the template from LinkedIn. You have to make it personal. So I know that, Jeff, you just said, like, mountains, this and that, flower fields. Oh, it's not okay, but put it up to start with. And then the next day, think about it longer. Just don't have the blank one and don't have that
Yes.
template. The
Yes.
way to find these is, if do you mind, Jeff, that I keep talking about this?
No, go right
Okay.
ahead, because
So
this
the
is,
way,
are you going to go to Canada here eventually?
no,
Right?
no, no, I'm not going to. You're going to.
Oh,
But
no, I don't mean you
all I'm
actually
gonna,
physically going to
yeah.
go, but that's where I found templates and help for LinkedIn, especially if you're graphically challenged, like myself. Okay. I let Canva help me build mine. Okay.
Absolutely. And so we'll talk about Canva in a second, but one other way that you can do it is when you Google and you type in LinkedIn banner, because then it will give you those. I wanted to mention that a lot of them that are come up first, they're going to require you to pay for them. Okay. Because so you don't have to. Do not spend money when you don't have to. Okay. Jeff will now we'll talk about how to find to do it without paying, but you will be prompted, because the sponsored ads are all going to be first, to pay for a LinkedIn banner. Do not pay. And now, Jeff, I just wanted to reiterate how important it is. And literally like 60% of clients, they start off and they don't have that up there. It is the simple way to really look professional and engaging.
Yep.
Over to you.
So I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to bring Canva up so that because this is a free resource. Okay. And the coolest part about Canva as a free resource is that, you can sign up for it for free. You don't have to do anything. Of course, it's going to try to upsell you and tell you that you should use Canva Pro, but you don't need Canva Pro. But all you do need to do is go onto Canva and then start looking for and do a search for templates called LinkedIn banner or background photos, LinkedIn banner templates. And there's tons of examples out here. And that's exactly what I did. I went out, I found one that had the right background color, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And as a matter of fact, you can even see, here's one that I actually utilized that I edited. This is my banner from 11 months ago, where I actually changed it that final time. So you can put it out there. You can then manipulate it Now, once you get it the way, the coolest part about this is that another mistake that people make is they may just put up any picture that they happen to have and find. And what happens is that that picture actually has to be exactly the right dimensions. And that's why the template inside of Canva is important. It will make sure that it is the right dimensions so that when you get it right and you get it the way that you want to move it around and put the right words and music to it, and again, I think it's great to have graphics, but I've also got words on mine. I think you got to tell somebody something by putting something in there that's text as well. Okay, just like Elisa did, okay? And then once you get it the way you want it, you download it from Canva to your hard drive or wherever you want to keep it, and then you upload it to LinkedIn. And it's literally that easy to do. You can upload that and get it there in no time at all, okay? Other things, okay? One of the other mistakes I think people make a great deal on LinkedIn is that, and you kind of brought this up a little bit, Elisa, okay, but I want to delve into it just a little bit more, okay? One of the mistakes that people make is they treat LinkedIn like their resume. If all you ever do is copy and paste stuff from your resume into LinkedIn, I'm sorry, you're doing it wrong. It is a social media platform. These two things, your resume and your LinkedIn profile, are two different tools, because as Elisa said, LinkedIn is a marketing tool, then your resume is a get a job tool that is tailored to a specific job description and sent for a specific job description. But your LinkedIn is so much more. I mean, some of the differences are, first of all, people have always told me that you can never use the word I on a resume. Okay, it is perfectly fine to use the word I and talk to people in the first person on LinkedIn. As a matter of fact, it's preferred. Okay, so the other thing is that it's also good to talk in complete sentences. The tone can be different. It can be a little less formal. It can show a little bit more of your personality, although it's not a bad thing necessarily to show personality on a resume, but resumes are considered a lot more formal than LinkedIn, okay? So the social media aspect of this is another thing that's there. Okay?
I'd like to add on the tone piece of it. I mean, the whole thing with LinkedIn, Jeff, as opposed to like your resume, is you want to engage with people. Like you want to be on LinkedIn if you want to engage with people for whatever reason. And so exactly what you're saying is you want to use first person, complete sentences. Your resume is your resume. They complement, but you want to engage.
Yep. And you want those people to stay on your LinkedIn profile and learn more about you. I mean, the thing is, think about this from a recruiter's perspective. The 70% of you that are actually in the job search or looking or underemployed and want to find it. If you're talking to recruiters, if you're talking to people who are going to help you with a job search, okay, a recruiter, if you've applied for something with a resume, okay, you actually make it through the cut through that AI gatekeeper that actually gets, matches your keywords, and you actually get into the point where the recruiter is actually looking at your resume and they want to know more about you. Guess where the first place a recruiter goes is? Right here, LinkedIn, okay? And if all they see when they come to look at your LinkedIn is the same stuff that they already saw on your on your resume, it's boring. They don't gain anything out of it. You waste the space of saying, yeah, okay, it looks like my resume, and you already had one of those. So please don't use it like that. Use it for what it really is, its strong point, which is a marketing tool, which is a branding tool, okay? Okay, other things that I want to talk about from an underused features standpoint. There's one, I'm going to try to keep this brief, but there are at least seven more things that we can talk about and we should talk about in terms of that. And I want to show you a place where you can find a lot more than just this. But I want you to, when you come to my profile and you scroll down, actually here's one of the sections of your LinkedIn profile that is underutilized and a lot of people still don't have, and that's this featured section. Okay, I'll mention the featured section so that you can, this is one of the great ways of putting multimedia out there for people to see, so that they can, as I said, here's my book. I'm leading with my book in my featured section. Because if I don't lead with my book, nobody will ever know I wrote one. I mean, nobody knows that I wrote a book unless you tell them. Nobody really knows you wrote a book unless you tell them. Nobody knows what you want them to see unless you put it in your featured section. Okay. Now, does anybody how many people actually have a featured section? Can we get an idea about how many folks? I know Elisa does, so I'll show you what's in
Do
Elisa's.
you want to put it in the chat? Just put in the chat yes or no if you have a feature section. And by the way, the only reason I learned how to do this was because Jeff told me a year ago. I didn't know, but Jeff told me.
Yep. And while we're talking about what I'm waiting on folks to say whether or not they've got one or not, okay? One of the coolest parts about this is that because a lot of what I do and being more effective on LinkedIn to me means being on the desktop browser, not the LinkedIn app on a phone or an iPad, okay? There's a thing that is associated with browsers called a URL or a favorite or a bookmark. The coolest thing about this is that I actually can, and you can, anybody can, provide a link to your featured section specifically that you would add maybe in an email, add in a direct message, you know, et cetera, right? Literally, if I go down here to under LinkedIn to my profile links, and I say I want to jump with one click to my featured section, boom. I click one time and up pops my featured section with all of the featured things that I've got there, which is a full large list of things that I wanted to share with people to help them be more effective on LinkedIn, starting with my book. Okay. Next one is my newsletter, my LinkedIn newsletter. And as we, you know, and these next two are a couple of posts, and then I've got a whole bunch of LinkedIn lives that are down here a little bit farther, where you can actually start looking at these kind of things and see the videos for these kind of things. So I've put all of that out there in a multimedia standpoint. You know, it's actually, LinkedIn becomes my web page. I don't have a web page because I don't need a web page. I've got LinkedIn.
So Jeff, for people who are looking, would you mind putting mine back up?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, because question is, you know, I don't know, I don't really post a lot. I don't know what to have as featured and things. So I have a suggestion for everyone. Can you please go to my that area? What did we call it again?
Oh, the
No,
featured?
yeah, featured. Okay, the featured. No, yeah, up, go up.
Sorry.
Okay, stop it. Down.
Sorry.
Down.
Got
Stop. Okay. So my recommendation for everyone who is you know, who's looking for a job is in your featured section. First of all, so post, if you are not comfortable with posting whatever, if you're looking for a job, you must let people know that you're looking for a job, and be as specific as you can in terms of the areas, what types of contacts your asks are, and you're going to make a post. Okay. So I keep this up on here so that I could show my clients and everyone. This post that I have here, okay, is the post when I wanted to switch careers. Okay. And I featured it so that people, anybody who was coming could see my post about what type of job I was looking for. Another idea about a post that you could feature is a thought piece that you have. And we can talk, we're going to get into what types of content to post. For a lot of people are uncomfortable about posting, but you know, you should always have something if you're looking for a job talking about what you're looking for or your ask, and then something where you're giving back to people in some way, information, ideas, things like that. And those could be two ideas. Not everybody wrote a book like me and Jeff. So I just wanted to give other ideas for people who are looking for a job of things that you could feature. Does that sound good?
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Anything you really want to share, anything that you want to get
Yeah.
out there to your network, anything that you want people to see when they come to your profile is cannon fodder for being inside of your featured section. And as I said, one of the coolest parts about this is that, you know, again, remember I said I had a link to mine. So if I back up, we're going to be at my featured section again, right? Okay. Well, a little bit earlier, I made sure that I went out and I saved the link to Elisa's featured section as well. So I saved that as a bookmark. And literally, if I go one click away, Elisa's featured section is up here. I can share my featured section. I can share her featured section. et cetera. And by the way, your featured section doesn't always have to be only about you. It might be something you want to feature from someone else as well. As a matter of fact, so there's your featured section based on this link, based on this URL. Okay. So that people have it, I'll copy it and I'll drop that in the chat. Okay, if I can. I may have to stop sharing in order to get to the chat. Sometimes my browser doesn't cooperate and allow me. Here we go. Got it. Okay, so I'm going to drop that link in the chat. There we go. So that's a link to your featured section, so that people can come there and see that example that you had of that post. Okay. Okay, so that's a great way to do that as well. That's a great way to show that as well. Almost any section on your profile has its own link, so that you could share that link and get and send that specifically to someone in an email or through LinkedIn or whatever way that you want. Okay. So now I want to go back, and we're still talking about underused features. Okay. And things that people can do, things that you can do to brand yourself, things that people can do to possibly gain new clients, et cetera. Okay, so I'm going to go back again to my profile, because I want to show you another place, which is, again, underneath my featured section. But underneath my featured section, there's something here that I call my LinkedIn Guru Gazette, okay, which is my newsletter. Okay. The very last one that I did of these, which was over a year ago now, but the very last one that I did of these was something about how to support your tribe. But don't let that title fool you. Everything you do to support your tribe, your customers, your people that you want to talk with, the people who you need to get interested in you and your content and those kind of things, that's all here. But what this really is actually then 7 ways to support your LinkedIn tribe. And every single one of these 7 ways is an underused feature, believe me. Okay, so let's talk about 1 through 7. I won't read you the entire article, but I will kind of walk you through briefly, okay, these 7 things. And then I'll go through the 7, and then I'll come back and ask you if there's one in particular that you want to talk about more, which I know we do want to talk about, like and comments on posts. Okay. That's one of the, I led with like and comments on posts because I believe that's where the real interaction, the real engagement happens on LinkedIn. Actually getting out there and commenting on other people's posts and actually responding to comments that are on your posts if you post. Okay. Because if you think of it from this way, a comment starts a conversation, or at least has a potential for starting a conversation. And every single conversation that you start is a possible opportunity, okay, of you finding someone who knows someone that you might need to know, okay, et cetera. Okay, so number 1, like and comment on posts. Number 2, put actual skill endorsements out there for the people that you know. Endorse other people's skills. That's one way of getting endorsements for your own skills, okay? But it's one of the things that's so far down on LinkedIn's list and so far down in your profile that people never go there anymore. So it's a really good way of differentiating yourself if you go out there and you actually endorse someone for a skill, because LinkedIn will then tell that person that you endorse them for that skill, and they might actually endorse you for 1 or 2 of your own as well. So I use this just as a kind of, honestly, I use it as a keep in touch kind of thing. When I'll go out to someone's profile and literally, again, let's show this because Elisa and I are actually connected. I'm going to show you briefly how this can work. Okay, so I'm going to go to Elisa quickly, hopefully. There we go. Scroll down to her skills section, which again, as I said, see it so far down this is, okay? And you notice that I've already endorsed Elisa for these 2 skills. But if I show all 39 skills, I can find another skill fairly easily. Nonprofit leadership, okay? That I've seen her, her posts and see that she's involved in a lot of those kinds of things, especially JBS being a nonprofit, okay? And I click the endorse button and I've endorsed Lisa for that skill. And now LinkedIn may or may not, but it should tell Elisa that I actually endorsed her. Okay. It's that simple, folks. Endorse somebody for the skill you know they have then move on, go on. Okay.
So Jeff, I have a question for you.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I hear a lot from many people, and I've experienced it myself, that you try to reach out to somebody like in either a warm introduction you have or just a complete cold introduction. You want to meet this person, and you reach out to them with email, you use your free credits or whatever, and they don't get back to you. Is this a good way to get what I call like get top of mind with people? If you These are like little tips about how to get that person you want to engage with to notice you. I hadn't thought about this.
Well, a lot of what I'm talking about would be that way, especially the commenting on the
Yeah.
posts. Okay, especially commenting on if they are actually out on LinkedIn. If they don't post, if they don't do anything on LinkedIn, it's very difficult to engage with them any other way than maybe DMs, okay, direct message,
Okay.
or actually through another connection of some sort, right?
Hmm.
Find someone who knows that person and say, would you please introduce me to that person? That's a
Right.
perfect way. As a matter of fact, that's going to be coming up here in a minute.
Okay.
But the reason I mentioned that is that, yes, this is another way that you can keep in touch with. This is another way that you can start a conversation with someone, but you can't start a conversation with someone with a skill endorsement if you're not connected to them.
Oh, okay. Thank you. You can't
Yeah.
just do that.
I want you to
Okay,
make
got
sure,
it.
want to make sure, yeah, because there is no way that LinkedIn will allow someone to endorse somebody for a skill unless they quote unquote know them. And
Okay.
LinkedIn's gate for knowing someone is actually being connected with them.
Thank you
Okay.
for clarifying that. Okay.
Same thing for the next one that's coming up, which is writing a recommendation for someone. Okay. Honestly, this one has fallen completely off the map. I hardly ever see anybody give or get recommendations anymore, unless, of course, you ask for one. Now, yes, you can actually go ask someone to recommend you. Okay, that's a great thing to do. But you giving someone a recommendation is even as powerful, or if not more powerful, than the process as well. And it's the same thing here. In order for you to recommend someone, and notice that it actually says write thoughtful recommendations, not really just a sentence that says I recommend this person and you're done. That's ridiculous. That's useless. You actually have to say why you recommend this person, what qualities they have, why you believe that they're worth recommending, et cetera. Thoughtful recommendations, and of course you have to be connected with the person in order to do that. Celebrate milestones and achievements. This one is one I won't go into deeply though, but there are ways that you can actually celebrate when you see in a notification that someone got a new job or a milestone, a professional milestone or something, work anniversaries, job announcements, okay, promotions, etc. This is an easy way for you to celebrate those kind of things inside of your network. Let me show you where the easy way to find that is, okay? Under My Network, click the My Network up at the top, okay? Obviously, My Network gives you, down the left-hand side, gives you statistics about what your network looks like, how many connections you have, how many groups you're in, how many events that you've attended or want to attend, et cetera. Okay, that's about, and it suggests people for you to grow your network. By the way, it doesn't take me long down through here to see who the grays are. Look at the grays. You can see back to the banner. There's a gray, there's a gray, there's a gray. See, so three out of the top 8 people here don't even have a banner, okay, because they've got gray. But where I'm coming from, so those are suggestions of people I might know. Okay, so that's one way of connecting with that person and increasing your network. But what I'm talking about here, okay, in terms of milestones and achievements, is this other tab that most people don't even know exists. It's called a catch-up tab. What that does is give you 3 categories, 4 if you count education, okay, of things that are happening inside your network that you can then help to celebrate with them. And so, look, Joey, who Elisa and I both know, Joey Himmelfarb, okay, who's a good buddy of mine that actually allows me to do a monthly seminar every 4th Tuesday of every month, okay, has completed 3 years at DPUYK. So it's a work anniversary. So don't paint your kitchen. Give him a congratulatory message. Send something out. And oh, by the way, please, when you click this, do not, like Elisa said, and this is a good broad brush best practice. do not use the template and what LinkedIn gives you off the top. Okay, if you say congrats, it's just going to say that. Okay, what you need to do is take that and overwrite it and send that message to Joey in terms of being able to say something personal to him and congratulations on. Because I know Don't Paint Your Chicken, Don't Paint Your Kitchen is his book. Okay, so I congrats on having the book around for 3 years. Okay, as an example. So that's one of the ways. Okay, catch up. That's job changes, birthdays, or work anniversaries. And literally, I actually have this bookmarked as well. If it is, if it's worthwhile for me, it's in a bookmark. Okay. And under frequent, right here, I went to and used the bookmark because I went to celebrations and then saved it as a bookmark. I went to this one and it brings up the people in my network that have got birthdays that they put on LinkedIn. And then it shares that with me when it pops this up. And once it shares that with me, when it pops this up, I actually sent Marianne Avery, a connection of mine, a message this morning about happy birthday. And she's across the pond. She's in England, but I still send it because it's a good way to keep in touch. And it's a good way of, again, staying top of mind, as Elisa appropriately said. Okay, ready? Go on. Got any questions?
There are actually a couple of questions. I'm wondering if we can ask them now, or do you want to get through these 5?
Well, there's 3 more, which I'll cover.
Okay, let's go through these, and then Scott and Glenn have a couple questions. So let's get through these, and then they'll ask questions.
Yeah,
okay.
Obviously this one's a pretty obvious one. Okay, stay in touch through direct messages. Okay, that's a key. That's a really good way of getting somebody. And by the way, you don't have to be connected with someone in order to be able to send them a direct message. People think that that's a misnomer. Okay, people think that you have to be connected with someone in order to send them a message. It's not necessarily so. So, for example, I'm just going to try this. One of the things that you can look at now, I can send Elisa a direct message anytime I want to because she and I are first-degree connections. We're connected, right? But this person, for example, Dana Dietz, I have no idea who this is. I'm just going to bring her up and see if I can actually send her a message. It's possible. It just depends. It depends in many instances whether or not they have an open profile or whether they have paid for LinkedIn. LinkedIn wants you to pay because LinkedIn okay, as a matter of fact, the message is actually grayed out on this one. So that's not even going to work. Okay, so, but another way of all right, so let's try Dana. Let's try this Dana. Okay, see what, and I may get one, I may not. But okay, so here's more, and there probably is no message underneath there as well. Okay, so it's taken that away. But when you see a message, if you see a message button there, you might want to give it a click because that person may be open to messaging because they paid for LinkedIn and allow incoming messages through InMail. Okay, so that's why I wanted to illustrate that so that you could see that. Okay, so, but again, keeping in touch through DMs, is a great way to keep the cards and letters going out. All right. Number 6, make an introduction. Honestly, this is what I believe LinkedIn is actually out here for. Okay. I believe the best use you could ever make of LinkedIn is find someone who's got a need, find someone else who can fulfill that need, and introduce those 2 people. Bring those 2 people together, give them an introduction through the DMs or et cetera. Okay, between 2 connections, it's easy for you to reach out to both those parties through a DM and say, hi, Elisa, I'd like you to meet Ken Lang. Okay, well, obviously she already knows Ken Lang, but the point being is that's an easy way, and I've done that so many times. As a matter of fact, I was introduced to a lady in Cincinnati, Ohio, here in Ohio, by a guy in London, okay, who actually knew that I should connect with this other person, and he actually introduced us, and then we actually physically met halfway between Cincinnati and Columbus. Okay, so that's how that happened. So that's a wonderful use of LinkedIn. And then another one is to actually create something that is a shout out post, recognizing someone else, celebrating something that is a connections of achievement. If you're not sure what you want to post about yourself, well, then fine. Post stuff about other people. Post stuff about other people in your network that have done some great things. That's a really great way to do this as well. Again, these are all unused features. I don't think they get used nearly enough. Okay, and they're just utilizing the capabilities that are out there, and every single one of these capabilities is free. Okay, ready for other questions?
Yes, so let's take some questions. So Scott, then Glenn, then Renee, then Henry. So Scott, you had a few questions. So did you want to or Jeff, maybe we look and see if we can see him. Scott? Is he on mute?
Thank you. I'm not on camera, but
Okay.
thank you for addressing my questions.
Got it.
First question was, when you go to connect with somebody and it's not right up as an option, you have to go under more.
Yeah.
I messed up one time and I clicked on follow first.
Oh, that's
After
not
you
a
make
mess
the
up necessarily.
connection and they accept it, does that matter? What does that do anything for it?
Well, no, actually, they are two different things. And I think it's a good point to bring up, Scott, is that they are two different things. A follow is different than a connection because you don't have to be connected with someone to follow them. Okay. So the point being, let's see if we can go back. Let's go back to my network and I'll show you hopefully with one of those people that I brought up here before. I don't have to be connected with a person, but if I, instead, if I don't want to go through the process of actually sending them and trying to send them a DM, trying to send them a connection request, but I just want to see what they're doing for a while so that I can start engaging in their content, which, by the way, we've been talking about that, bringing them up, then following somebody would be a really good thing to do. Okay, so let me bring this person up. Now, by the way, once you connected with that person, Scott, you're automatically following them. Okay. So if you're connected, you're following somebody, but you can follow somebody without being connected. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I know it's sometimes a
So
little
my
confusing.
question was, following them right before you connect with them would show you their stuff before they accept it.
Yeah,
But once they accept it, it wouldn't make any difference if you had clicked follow or not.
No, because if they accept your connections, you're automatically following one another. Okay. The follow button is there so that you can follow someone that you are not connected with. Okay. If I wanted to keep track of this person because he's a target of mine and I want to start having conversations with him and getting into his posts and see because he's actually got activity down here, right? One of the things that LinkedIn allows you to do is click the follow button, which will then allow that person's content to come up to you. It will actually show it to you. Okay. But, and by the way, you can follow a person, you can follow a company, you can follow a group on LinkedIn. Those three different things actually all have follow buttons that are separate follow buttons. Now I'm going to actually follow this person because I want to show you an illustration of what I think is the best practices. If you've got someone that you're not connected with, but you want to follow them and you want to see their stuff and you want to make sure LinkedIn shows you their stuff, okay, this is how you do that. Go to their profile. Again, he's a second-degree connection. I could ask Michael, I could ask Christopher, I could ask 7 other people to actually introduce me to this person. But in the interim, what I want to do is I want to click the follow button. So once I click follow, watch what happens right up here, just below his banner, okay? What's going to happen is when I click follow, there's going to be a bell. And there's actually a sound. You probably didn't hear it, but there's actually a sound, and that means I'm following this person, okay? Now, here's the thing. I want people to follow me. So if you go to my profile, click the follow button, please do so. I would love it if you do that, and that will give you that bell. But here's the next step that I want you to take to make sure that you see my stuff, because just following him will not necessarily make sure that I get everything that he does. Because when you follow somebody, now the next step is to click the bell itself. And notice what LinkedIn says is the default. Personalized based on my activity, it's going to send me stuff about him. Okay. I don't want LinkedIn to choose what's relevant to me. I want to choose what's relevant to me. So I change that from most relevant to all and click the save button, and it becomes a double bell. That's why I tell people when I ask them to follow me to double bell me. Okay, that's what I'm talking about right there. Does that make sense? Now, did that answer your question, Scott, as far as, the difference between follow
Yes.
and connect?
It brought up another. Do you prefer that people follow you or connect with
I
you?
prefer people to follow me because of the fact that, look, I have done 18 years worth of training sessions, which is over 1,000 sessions to over 20,000 people, and I can't be connected with all those people. I just want you to follow me so that you can get my help. I want to help you, and that's the best way for me to help you, not necessarily be connected with you. I'm connected with Elisa because Elisa and I are actually doing business together. Okay, okay. Maybe it's only once a year, but we've been connected, and we're connected through a very meaningful organization called JBS, and it makes sense for us to be connected because we built an ongoing relationship. But once you follow someone, you may end up connecting with them later on after you've had conversations. But I have a lot of people that I've been actually following and having conversations with for over a year, and I'm still not connected with them. You don't have to be connected with them to have a conversation with them if you follow them and do this kind of thing right here. Okay. So that's
My second question was actually on something Elisa said, but either one of you could answer it. When she was talking about her featured section, the doing a post on your job search, would you list specific target companies? Because my concern is how it would look for other companies that aren't listed.
Yeah, so I'll give you my opinion on that. The more specific you are to generate ideas, the better, because people, when you're not working, you're looking for a job, people say, let me know if you go to a barbecue or you're on LinkedIn, where just say, I'm looking for a job. People don't really know what to do with that. You're not really going to get the results. I found that when you're more specific about the industry or the sector, like start with industry, the type of job, sector, and then you can give a couple ideas like such as this or this. You're asking your network to get you recommendations. So other companies aren't looking at this yet, right? The first step is you want to get people in your network to recommend people that they know. And the more you can give them to generate ideas, the better.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
Yeah,
and
I
good for me.
definitely, yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
I don't
So
think I can add a thing to that, Lisa. I think
Go
that's
ahead, go
perfect.
ahead.
That's exactly what I would say.
Okay.
The more specific you can be, the better off you will be.
Yeah. Okay, Glenn, did you want to ask some questions?
Sure. Thank you, Elisa. So Jeff, with messaging and trying to connect, so I'm trying to connect with different people in this community in a certain area of business, and I go on their profile and I try to message them, and then I can't message them unless, and then LinkedIn tries to sell me an upgrade.
Of
So
course.
Right. So they try to sell me an upgrade is there a difference between like just taking like a Prime membership or a Prime product, or then they put me into something called Sales Navigator? So can you describe the difference between those two things?
Well, yeah, actually, there are actually 4 different levels of
Okay.
paid
Please
membership.
describe the 4 levels.
Yeah, okay. All right, so I'll go from the least expensive to the most expensive, okay? The first level is something called career package, okay? That's usually about $30 to $40 a month. It will get you a certain number of in-mails, which will allow you to send, direct messages to people. So that's one of the pluses as far as it's concerned, okay? The really interesting thing about any paid package versus a free version of LinkedIn is that it's always going to give you, there's very little difference in capability, except that you get more of, or the ability to do, okay? For example, message someone that you're not connected with, okay? So that's why career package would be a possible good idea. And oh, by the way, while we're on the subject as far as paying for LinkedIn is concerned, there's almost always an opportunity to get a month's worth of LinkedIn for free, a month's worth of LinkedIn Premium for free. So my advice is, at least go out there, give it a shot. Take their month for free, and And I think the technical term is beat the bejesus out of it. Okay. Okay. It's one of those things where you just pound it until you get what you think you need out of it. So you get all kinds of possibilities. For a month, you can do anything you want as far as that free that paid.
Yeah, I took the free month of Sales Navigator, but I don't think I'm using everything that it offers. But please continue.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure you're not using everything that LinkedIn offers for free. Okay. That's my whole thing, is that honestly, 99% of the people that ask me whether they should pay for LinkedIn are not using what is available for free in the first place, because they haven't taken the time to learn how the tool actually works and how they can get around it. I have been on LinkedIn, as I said, since 2004. I have never paid for LinkedIn. I never plan on paying for LinkedIn, because I do not need the capabilities that I cannot get, that I need from a paid package, any of the ones that I'm going to describe, because I can get around it. Okay. Because again, remember I said, oh, okay, you can't send a direct message to this person because you're not connected to them. Well, if they do content on LinkedIn, I can always put a comment on one of their posts and connect with them that way. Okay. I can always find a group that they might be in. And that way, by the way, inside of a group, if you're a member of the same, in the same group as someone else, you can send that person a direct message, whether or not you're connected to them through the group or not. Okay. So if you're connected through a group, you can send a direct message. There's all kinds of ways around, okay, actually having to pay for it. But again, paying for it does get you easier capabilities. Okay. But please don't think that paying for it is going to make you any better at it. It's not. Actually using it, actually finding out how the tool works, actually getting out there and actually spending the time on it is where the real rubber meets the road, not the fact that you paid them 30, 40 bucks a month. Okay. Okay. So that's the first one. The next one up level to that, which actually has been attractive to me occasionally, is something called a business package. That's about 700 bucks a year or so 60, 70 bucks a month. A business package gives you more capability, and it's focused on how to utilize LinkedIn as a business, as a solopreneur, entrepreneur, etc. Okay. Next one up from that is the one you talked about, Glenn. That's Sales Navigator. That is a really great tool for people who are in sales, or people who want to use LinkedIn as a sales tool, or who want to use LinkedIn as a sales tool for a corporation, as an example, because Sales Navigator gives you CRM capabilities and all those other kind of things that don't exist in any of the other packages. In essence, though, Sales Navigator actually is a totally separate package from LinkedIn. It's actually another level, which you actually have to go to separately, because you've got a LinkedIn, a LinkedIn program in your profile, and you've got Sales Navigator, which is a separate tool. Okay. Above that is something that is actually divided into two separate areas, and that is basically where we talked about how LinkedIn started, and that is as a recruiting tool. There's something called Recruiter Lite, which is somewhere around, I think, about 90 bucks a month or so. Okay. Recruiter Lite is what a lot of corporations might use, a lot of organizations might use to actually utilize LinkedIn to do their recruiting process through LinkedIn, as an example. And then there's one above that is actually called full-blown, full-fledged LinkedIn Recruiter, which is literally about $12,000 a year. No, thank you. There's only one person I know that I've ever run across that actually paid for and consistently has gone onward to pay for LinkedIn Recruiter. And guess what they are? They're a recruiter. Okay. Their business is recruiting. They can make that up, that $12,000 up, with maybe even just one placement. Okay. But the point being is those are the levels. Okay. So
okay,
again,
thank you, Jeff.
No, I'm happy to share that kind of information, because it makes sense from the standpoint of what you want to do, what your goals on LinkedIn are. But again, I have never had and seen the need to pay for LinkedIn, because of the fact that I've always been able to get around it, and I'm always able to do what I want to do. Look, I built everything you see here. Okay. I built, you might have noticed that when I went to my network, it actually says I have actually 700 first degree connections. Okay. I'm the follow first kind of guy, right? So the point being is that's why I only have 700 connections. Practically almost every single one of you probably has more connections than I do on LinkedIn. Okay. But in addition to those 700 connections, I have 32,000 followers. Okay. And that's what I've built on LinkedIn is 32,000 people who are interested in seeing what I've got to say. And that's where it really meets the rubber meets the road for me. That's why it works so well for me.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Henry, did you want to ask your question?
Hi, yeah. Just I want to, first thank you. I've been on a number of these sessions, and yourself and your presenters are always far more helpful than anything else that I do and follow, and I've done, quite a few. So I appreciate
you.
want to, thank yourself and also, Jeff. And I think most of my comment, you just covered and what Glenn was saying and asking. So, but just I find that with LinkedIn, I'm trying to do some of these things. You've also given a lot of additional information, and I appreciate, your transparency and what the options are, because I'd love to do the premium, but obviously looking for work and being out of work, budget's very tight. So to spend $30, $40, I've got to get that value back. And
Yep.
unfortunately, I don't see it. And in doing job search, yeah, it would be nice to be able to message employers, after an interview and stuff. And LinkedIn, stops you from doing a lot of it. So I found that they become more of a, a for-profit business, which I get. But that is what it is. But you've given a lot of good insight on how to make, best use of the free one, at least.
Well, and that's the environment, Henry, that we're in. Okay, it's the environment that we've been in for some time now. Is that if you want to know why LinkedIn does something, follow the money. Okay.
Yeah.
Because LinkedIn is I get it. LinkedIn is a business. LinkedIn went IPO many years ago, and its IPO was even better than Facebook. Okay.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, LinkedIn was one of the first kind of social medias to actually make a profit. Okay. Back in 2016, back in around 2016, they were making a profit, and they made such a nice profit as far as LinkedIn was concerned. Is that guess who bought them? Microsoft. So Microsoft now owns LinkedIn, and Microsoft. This is the interesting thing that a lot of people don't know about this as far as LinkedIn is concerned as well. This gives you an idea of the scale of things, right? Way back in 2016, Microsoft bought LinkedIn for $26.2 billion. That's a B, billion. Okay. Do you know what LinkedIn's revenue last year was? Just north of $16 billion. LinkedIn made $16 billion last year. And they'll probably make more than that this year. Okay. So again, when you follow the money, that's really where you get to see what LinkedIn's really about and why it's always going to try to upsell you and why it's always going to upgrade, trying to get you to upgrade, et cetera. Okay. Because hopefully it won't go there. It's still okay for me. I've been able to last 18 years, 18 years of teaching it and helping people to utilize it for free. But someday it may actually get to the point where it is pay to play on LinkedIn. It is possible, but I'm not going there yet. And as long as I'm, they can have my check when they, tear it from my cold dead hand. Okay, because I'm just not going to go there as far as paying LinkedIn is concerned. That's the way I feel about it. And again, that's worked out for me. So hopefully that helps.
Yep, nope, it does. I appreciate your honesty and transparency.
Well, let me share one other thing, which I think, again, this is another one of those hidden features, but it's something I think that is particularly important to job seekers because it's something that not a lot of people know about, okay, as well. All right, so for example, you've got target companies. Hopefully everybody's got a list of target companies. It's not my responsibility to tell you this, but if anybody's worth their salt as far as job seeking is concerned, they say you've got a list of target companies. You should be, looking at these companies. You should be following those companies on LinkedIn. Okay, but there's one more thing that I want to show you that is important about how you can actually get in touch with other companies as far as the job search is concerned. Okay, so if you brought up a company like, I'm going to use a big one because I know that these guys have actually participated in this program, so I can illustrate it to you. Okay, bring up a company, and of course you can follow the company. Okay, you can follow the company, but from the company page, et cetera. So again, following the company. Remember what I talked about as far as following a person. If I click follow, a bell shows up. Okay, if I click that bell, I can now change that to all. Okay. So again, I can now save that. So now I'm following everything. LinkedIn will notify me anytime that somebody does a post through the company page on Cardinal Health, okay, or any other page that that I bring up like this. And oh, by the way, if I want to stop following, I just click follow and unfollow, and the bell disappears. It's gone. So it's that easy to turn on or off. Okay, that's not what I wanted to show you. Okay, I wanted you to understand that you could do that as well. But one of the things I want to show you is on certain companies, if they have participated in LinkedIn's employee planning package, okay, if you go to their About tab, what you want to do is go to a company's, that is a target company's About tab, scroll down and look for this. Can you guys read that? It may be too small. It says, interested in working with us in the future? Well, if it's a target company, I'd say that answer is, oh boy, yeah. Okay. So the point being is that I can actually now notify the company, whoever's responsible for looking at this program inside of the company, by clicking the I'm interested button, and it will actually put me on a list of people who are interested in working for that company, and that might actually get me to the top of a list somewhere else, which means I might actually get an opportunity when I actually put a job application in there. Now, I bet nobody on this call knew that you could do that.
Had no idea.
That is one of the really great little hidden features that allows me to show interest in a company, tell that company that, yes, I'd love to work with you guys. And it can stay, as far as I know, for about a year. It stays for about a year. You might actually have to, have to come in and do it a second time or later, or turn it off. You could always turn it off as well, just like the other toggles. But that's a great way to do that. And that works only on certain companies. Remember, okay, it may not be there on every company, especially if it's a small company and they're not participating in the employee program that that LinkedIn put out. But if they are, okay, it'll be there. As a matter of fact, it will actually be more than one place. You might see it under About. You might also see it under their Life, because if you scroll down through Life, you're going to see it here as well. So it's either one, the other, or both, possibly. So if you don't see it under About, check Life and see, you might see it there. Okay, we'll go on.
Renee, did you want to ask your question?
Yeah, so Jeff, my question is, if I see a job posted on LinkedIn and it says easy apply, I usually avoid that job because I think it's a recruiter collecting resumes, or I think it's a scam. And the reason is, if you ever click on that easy apply, it looks like LinkedIn is having you attach your resume, but then it looks like your resume only lives in that recruiter's LinkedIn page. As opposed
that would be true.
An apply button, you go straight to the company's website and you get to their ATS. So I want my resume to be at the company, not at some recruiter who could leave the company, or who could be posing, as he's maybe not really a recruiter. So if you go to the company's webpage, a lot of times they'll say, do you want to, on their ATS, they'll say, do you want to join my talent profile, talent group? And then they'll email you, here's some jobs, or they'll email you, here's a newsletter. So I don't see what the easy apply, how does it benefit a job seeker? So it seems like a scam to me, and I don't ever hear anybody address it.
Oh no, I don't think easy apply is meant to be a scam, but it is being used as a scam. You bring up a very, very, very good point, Renee. Thank you for bringing that up, because just as there are fake people out here on LinkedIn, there are fake jobs out here on LinkedIn. Okay. So yes, my advice to most people is that if you see a job on LinkedIn you think is an interesting job, I would definitely go to the company webpage first, try to apply for it there, because that means that you're going to get directly into the company system. But if you can ascertain that this is an actual real job, if it's a real job, then maybe you might want to also use the easy apply and go through the LinkedIn avenue as well. But I wouldn't do that unless you can do this. Let me show you something. This is another hidden feature, okay? but it's an important one as well. All right, so, all right, I've got this job up here. I'm going to drop into this. I'm going to go just out of curiosity. I'm going to do something that will bring up project manager jobs. Okay. And I'm going to do this as far as just in Columbus, Ohio, my hometown. Okay. All right. So that brought up 2,000 results, right? And that's a lot. One of the interesting things that you might not know that LinkedIn indeed has actually started to try to now make sure that if you see a job and you want to make sure it's a verified actual job, you have a filter that you can actually use to make sure that it is a verified job. So right now it's 200 plus results. Okay. And by the way, let me actually, let's bring this down to, let's just look at the jobs within that, because it's going to be plenty. Okay. So the results, 200 plus jobs in the last 24 hours for project manager. Okay. Again, I want you to see this because I want you to see one of the differences that will make in terms of watching for this and making sure that you know that if you're going to use Easy Apply, you check this first. Watch this. At no time do my fingers leave my hands. This is magic, but I'm not going to, it's not sleight of hand. Okay. If you go over to the all filters, click all filters, bring it up and scroll down to the point where it says, see this? Can you see this? This says has verifications. That makes sure that any job that actually shows up for you actually has been verified and it is a real job. Turn that on and show those results, and 200 goes down to, it'll show up here in a second, I hope, 100. Only these jobs with this little shield are verified actual jobs that LinkedIn is now listed, and you can be assured that maybe doing the apply here will work the way that you wanted it to work before.
Okay. And so Jeff, this is amazing. Who is the verification? Because now I'm getting skeptical of that. So who's verifying it, and can people scam the verification process?
Yeah. No. LinkedIn is verified. Okay. So yes, and again, people can be verified. If you look at me, there's that same kind of symbol next to my name. People can be verified, but LinkedIn found that it was important to have jobs verified as well. Okay. Yeah. So that's why this is there.
This is so useful, and I think one of the most important things, and I think Renee, you started off by saying this, is I think LinkedIn is such a good tool to find jobs, okay? But I always recommend also to go to the website then to verify it. But LinkedIn is a great tool to find them, you know. Absolutely. But now you've helped us, Jeff, by, can you show us again how to, okay, well, I can look at the video after, but the verifying thing on the company is, yeah, can you show us where to do it?
Yeah, it's really just under all filters. And all filters, if you scroll down, there'll be a toggle that says has verifications.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
And one of the other toggles is if you want to make sure that any job that shows up has the Easy Apply button as well, you can turn that one on as well. Yeah. See it right next door. Okay. But that's how, that's the next step. That's the one that people never realize is there, is that it actually has verification. And if you want, if you ever see this little I next to anything, okay, click it, because that will actually show you what that means. It's information about what that is. And I think that's it's really interesting, because we talked about this a little bit. One of the things that people don't realize that they can do really, really well is to search for exactly what they want, okay, on LinkedIn. Now, I want to show you something that I want, hopefully will help you in the future. Because look, you could always go to my profile and you could scroll down, and you could start looking through my newsletters, and you look through my latest posts, use that link that I gave you, look for my latest post, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But you know what? If you wanted to actually search my content, okay, just my content for the keyword phrase of some sort, like hidden features, we've been talking about hidden features all day long, right? Okay. If you wanted to search my content for something like hidden features, Literally what you should do is type in hidden features in the search bar. Everybody with me? I'm going to do this slowly so you can see what I'm doing. Type in hidden features in the search bar. Okay. When it brings up everything, or when it shows all results, you should always pick show all results. Click posts, because I'm looking for posts about hidden features, right? Okay. Now I'm going to utilize the content again. Okay. That is a pull down, that is a filter from member. You can search for any particular person's content here. So basically, if I want to search for even my own content, I can say hidden features, content, posts that are from Jeff Young. Boom. There's a post I did a year ago. There's a post I did 4 months ago. All of them about hidden features on LinkedIn. Literally use a topic, come to there, and if you want to sort it and make sure that it comes up, the latest is first, you can do that as well. Okay. So that puts the 4-month one above the year ago one. But the point is, that's an easy way of finding that kind of content for any topic like that you wanted to look up.
So Gila, would you like to still ask your questions? Or are they covered?
Yes. No. Again, I apologize. I came late. I'm in my car. So I don't know if this was addressed at all, but I have been trying to use LinkedIn I'm trying to get everything out of it. I had my free month of premium, and now I'm actually they offered me a 50% off month. So I decided to do that because I don't know, people in my world seem to think LinkedIn premium makes a difference. So I think it was maybe $20. I said, I'll do it for the 1 month. I'm skipping my original question, but I do want to know how I could best utilize. I have like a week or two left on it is one question. And the second question is, I have been reaching out and using the parts of it where I could message anyone and I could,
Yes.
And I've been messaging this whole time I've been trying to build up. So I took some class a long time ago that said you want 501 connections. I don't remember the reason, but that was her goal. So I've been working myself up to that. I think I just might have hit it either yesterday or today, or maybe have one more to go. And I'm not doing it just all over the place. I'm specifically targeting talent acquisition managers and people in my world. I'm in retail, and even CEOs I'm reaching out to, and I'm a buyer. So buyers in that world, and say like anybody that's relevant to my world, and they connect with me. And sometimes I just say, thank you for the connection. And sometimes I say, oh, if you have 5 minutes, I would love to, chat with you, hear how your trajectory and your career, or if you have guidance. I don't know, like I tweak it every time a little bit. 99% of the time I'm ghosted. Nobody responds to me. Am I doing something wrong?
No, I think you've answered your own question. It's a matter of actually just engaging with them as much as possible, and don't give up. I mean, the thing of it is, everybody's busy, okay, and one of the biggest P's that that will help you on LinkedIn is not your profile, not people, not participate. It's persistence, okay. And literally, I think you've answered your own question, because you are actually doing the things that I would tell you to do. You're going out there and you're telling me it's not working, but it will eventually. I understand that it's very difficult to break through that, that barrier, okay? Because people don't want to talk about that, but as long as you're talking about something that they are interested in, okay? So the point being is that, having a message back and forth between you and me that says, oh, I'd love to sit down and have coffee with you. Okay, that's great, but what am I going to get out of it? Okay, that's the whole point. If you can provide them with some value, they will actually come back to you again and again and again. So think about it from their terms, walk a mile in their moccasins and see, or even just ask them that. Is there something I can provide you that will be of help? That opening salvo is much better than, hi, I'm looking for a job. Can you find me one? Okay, because that turns people off every single time.
Right. Okay, I'll try to tweak it to saying, is there anything I can do to help you? Which seems a little bit patronizing, because clearly there's nothing I can do to help them. They have a job and I don't.
That's not true. So I always always, 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 always ask people, if I'm asking for an introduction on behalf of someone, asking anything else, is there anything else that I can do for you? There are so many things. Everything from over the years, somebody gave me time, and then as we were talking about something, I thought of this book that could be useful and immediately sent them the link to the book. I didn't buy them the book, I sent them the link to the book. People always want to be connected to other people. That is a very, very easy thing. Is there anyone you would like to be introduced to that I could think of? You know, it's give and take. Honestly, it's the best way to get engagement is by doing something. And Gila, I'm not trying to say I know you're a giving person. It's more you're thinking, what do I have to offer you?
Right.
Guess what? There are so many things.
Absolutely.
There are so many things.
Literally, amazingly enough, if you find
Yes.
anything out on LinkedIn that,
Yeah.
especially from the feed that you might be interested in and you think they might be interested in as well, you can literally hit the send button and send it to them once you're in connection with them and drop it in their inbox. And,
Yeah.
then they may ignore it, they may not.
It's
So
content often.
Exactly.
Like an article or suggestion.
So I hear that. Okay, that's good advice. I'll do that. But how do I get past the ghosting? I know you said perseverance. I have followed up at least twice with some people that I really wanted to connect to, and even possibly a third time. And by then I feel like there's perseverance and then there's annoyance. Like how much do I persevere?
I see your point. If they don't want to talk, they don't want to talk.
Right.
And I think one of the other things that I have found over the years, because I have actually gone through a 14-month job search process, it took me 14 months to find a job once, okay, is that if you're not willing to take rejection, you're not going to do very well as far as job search is concerned, okay? It's just a way of the world and the way things are. And so I don't take it personally. I don't look at it as a rejection. I just move on to the next person because your next opportunity is that next one connection away. It's literally one more conversation away.
And the other part of that, and totally get it, and Gila, what you are articulating is what every single person feels, okay? I actually did have a speaker last year speaking about ghosting. Specifically, that was the topic, okay? What I try to do, because I take a lot of things personally, who doesn't, whatever, except for Jeff. But what I try to do is put myself in that person's shoes, okay? And if that person, let's say it's a manager position, okay? If I'm not getting a response back, I put myself in that person's shoes. That person is busy at work. I'm guessing they have other responsibilities. They have a pet, they have kids, they have aging parents. I don't know what's going on. And they have so many things to go on. And it's not that they don't want to get back to everyone. It's that they don't have the capacity. So if you can figure out a creative way to connect with them, I call it affinity points. Okay. If anybody sees, okay, like my posts, I used to talk about my dog, okay, who passed away. If anybody was going to say something about my dog, I'd probably write them back faster in my busy life. You know what I mean? And it's really hard not to get down. Sometimes if you're feeling down that people aren't getting back to you, take a break, focus on something else, get back at it. Try to think, that expression, keep doing the same thing, you'll get the same results.
Yeah.
Think of something different. Think of something different. But what I'm saying is how you're feeling is completely normal.
So I know, and I keep getting knocked down, and I keep picking myself back up, and I keep trying different things. I am all this advice I've been doing. It's very challenging. I just thought of another question while you were talking, and now it went out of my brain. But whatever.
Okay.
Okay.
So, we only have, okay, so thank you, Gila. I'm going to be on at 11:30,
Thank you.
like I said.
Just a very quick question. You mentioned that you can tick on these companies about section and say that you're interested in the opportunities. So I was just wondering, is this privately shared with the company, or other people will also see that you expressed interest in this particular company?
No, it's not something that your network will know about. It is only something that goes directly to the company. Okay.
Okay,
So it's
thanks.
just an indicator to the company, and it's because it's a special program that LinkedIn has with multiple companies. Okay, and that allows them to actually generate interest that way. If the company gets on board, they probably even charge the companies to allow them to use it. Who knows? I mean, LinkedIn charges for everything that it can. So, but that is a direct link to the company, so that it's not, it won't tell anybody else that you've got that same target company or anything along those lines. Only what Elisa said earlier is if you put that I've got these target companies in your about section or somewhere else inside of the text in your profile, will that show to anyone who actually looks? Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for
You're
clarifying.
welcome. My pleasure.
Okay, Jeff, we have about 3 or 4 minutes. Is there anything that you're just like pressing that you want to share? And if not, we're going to wrap up and then we're just going to continue taking questions.
Well, we talked about, and I think it's important to maybe finish off with this a little bit, just from an overview standpoint. Okay, we talked about posting, we talked about commenting, we talked about engaging, etc. Literally, here's how posting is important. Okay, so I'll show you something here in a second that will maybe help you generate some ideas about how to build a particular post, because I did a newsletter. I think it's still valid, a long time ago, about the anatomy of a LinkedIn post. Okay, what should be a part of your LinkedIn post? So I'll show you that. But the other thing that I wanted to show you is that down in here this is a section that is only particular to you on your own profile. So yours will look completely different than mine. But if you do on your profile, scroll down into the analytics section, which is right below your introductory section, and show all analytics, there's something I want to illustrate to you that I think is important. Okay. Weekly sharing tracker is it. Literally this week, I have done 1 post and I have done 96 comments. Which do you think I believe is most important? Just a guess, right? Okay. The point being is I almost always recommend, now you may not have time to make 96 comments in a week. Okay. That's fine. But I recommend that if you're going to post, you probably should comment at least 10 times for every post that you do. Okay. And the bit about posting is that if you post, make sure that you don't ignore anybody who engages with your post. Okay, that's an extremely important thing, is that when someone comments on your post, you should make sure that you're checking that post occasionally so that you go back to it and you respond to their comment, because that starts the conversation going back and forth. But literally that 96 comments is about a lot of other people that I have on a regular basis going to their content and get involved and engaging with them on a regular basis. I don't do that necessarily from the feed, which I find to be totally unfocused. The homepage feed is totally unfocused. I focus on my connections. I focus on the people I want to talk with, and I go there and I engage with them by making comments on their stuff. Okay. Now, as far as, again, as far as going back to this and talking about the anatomy of a LinkedIn post, okay, literally that is inside of my newsletters once again, but it is way back toward the very beginning of the list of the 30 of them. So literally, if you go into the newsletters and you scroll way down, bear with me because it's going to take a few seconds to actually build this stuff up. Okay. If I scroll far enough down, I will actually see a newsletter that I did a long time ago that is actually called, there it is, one from the bottom. It's called The Anatomy of the LinkedIn Post. And literally that will give you an idea about why you should post, when you should post, how often you should post, perhaps or not. Okay. What is the anatomy, what the sections of a post should be on a regular basis so that you can maximize the effect of the post. Okay. Because a lot of people are posting, but not a lot of people are not getting necessarily a lot of engagement on it. That's the key. And it really, to finish this off and put the cherry on top, it all starts whether or not you're commenting, whether or not you're interacting with anybody, whether or not you're posting. It all starts and ends with providing value. If you provide value, someone will come back to talk to you every single time, and they will want to talk to you. and they will want to have other people they know talk to you as well. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing on that note.
Okay. So Jeff, every single time I speak with you, I hear you present, I learn new things, and today was the exact same. I've learned so many valuable new features and tools and ways to do things. And I always think, oh, I know everything, but I don't. You always teach me new things. So thank you so much. On behalf of everyone here, we want to thank you. Want to thank the Jewish Federation of Greater MetroWest and Project M for the generous funding to make this available and free for everyone to attend. And I wanted to also wish everybody who celebrates a Shana Tova Umetuka, a happy and sweet New Year.
Thank you again, Elisa. It's been a pleasure as always. I'd love to do this again with you sometime.